The photo arrived at 0347 hours, Kabul time. My wife Iris, all smiles and perfect teeth, arm in arm with some guy I'd never seen before. The caption read, "So grateful for Eliot's help while Noam's deployed." Nothing says "I miss you" like another man's arm around your stepdaughter. I stared at my phone screen in the dim light of the barracks, listening to Rodriguez snore 3 bunks over. 13 months into this deployment, and Iris decides to start collecting strays. The guy, Eliot, apparently, had that helpful, concerned look that made my teeth itch. Too clean, too eager, too close to my family. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I typed back, "Glad you're getting help. Can't wait to see everyone soon." If only gratitude wore pants. The thing about military training is it teaches you to gather intelligence before you act. So I didn't call. I didn't demand explanations. I just started watching. Social media became my reconnaissance tool, and Iris gave me plenty to work with. More photos followed over the next 2 weeks. Eliot helping with groceries. Eliot fixing the kitchen sink. Eliot at Tommy's school pickup, standing just a little too close to my 13-year-old stepdaughter. Each post got more likes from Iris's hospital friends, more comments about what a good friend he was, how lucky she was to have support. I put in for emergency leave. The flight home took 18 hours. 18 hours to plan, to think, to let that cold military calculation settle into my bones. By the time I landed at Logan, I'd made my decision. I wasn't going straight home. I was going to watch first. Mrs. Vogel was in her garden when I parked 3 houses down, engine off, windows cracked, 82 years old and sharper than most people half her age. She'd been our neighbor since Iris and I bought the Victorian 5 years ago. She had opinions about everything and the hearing of a surveillance drone. I walked over. "Mrs. Vogel, how's the garden?" She looked up from her roses, squinting in the afternoon sun. "Noam Adler. Thought you weren't due back for months. Change of plans. How's everything been around here?" Her face shifted, that expression people get when they know something you don't. "Well, your Iris has been getting a lot of help lately. That young man from the hospital, he's been around quite a bit." "Eliot?" "That's the one. Nice enough, I suppose, but..." She glanced toward my house. "Strange hours, if you ask me. Sometimes he's there when Iris isn't. Just him and the girl." The cold calculation got a little colder. "Is that so? Yesterday, I heard shouting. Saw him grab Tommy's arm in the driveway. She looked scared, Noam. Really scared." I thanked Mrs. Vogel and walked home, using my key as quietly as possible. The house felt different. Smelled different. Coffee cups in the sink that weren't ours. A jacket hanging on the coat rack that definitely wasn't mine. "Dad?" Tommy appeared at the top of the stairs, and the relief in her voice hit me like a punch to the chest. "Hey, kiddo." I dropped my duffel and opened my arms. She practically flew down the stairs. "I didn't know you were coming home," she whispered into my shoulder. "Surprise leave. Where's your mom?" "Work. She's pulling doubles this week." Tommy pulled back, and I saw something in her eyes that made my jaw clench. Fear. The kind of fear kids shouldn't have to carry. "Tommy, are you okay?" She glanced around like she was checking for listening ears. "Can we talk? In the basement?" The basement was my workshop, my sanctuary. Tools organized with military precision, workbench clear, everything in its place. Tommy sat on my stool while I leaned against the bench. "Tell me what's been happening." "Mom's friend Eliot, he's been coming over a lot, even when she's not here." Her voice got smaller. "He gets angry when I ask questions. Last week he grabbed my arm really hard when I said I was going to call you." She rolled up her sleeve. The bruise was yellow-green now, healing, but unmistakably hand-shaped. I told Mom, but she said I was making it up, that I was jealous of her having friends. Tommy's eyes filled with tears. "I'm not making it up, Dad. I knelt down so we were eye level. I believe you, and I'm going to fix this. How? I smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile I wore in Afghanistan when we'd located an enemy position. Leave that to me, kiddo. But first, I need you to write down everything that happened. Dates, times, exactly what he said and did. Can you do that? She nodded. Good. And Tommy? This stays between us for now. I need to gather some intelligence first. That night, Iris came home at 11:30, exhausted from her shift at the hospital. I was waiting in the kitchen with a cup of coffee and my best concerned husband face. Noam! She dropped her purse and rushed over. What are you doing here? I thought... Emergency leave came through, wanted to surprise you. I hugged her, noting how she tensed slightly. You've been working so hard. Good thing you have friends helping out. Oh, Eliot. Yes, he's been wonderful. Really stepped up. She pulled back, studying my face. You're not upset, are you? About the photos? Why would I be upset? I'm grateful someone's looking out for my girls. She relaxed. He's just a friend, Noam, from work. He knows how hard it is with you deployed. I'd love to meet him. Maybe we could all have dinner this weekend. Something flickered across her face. He's pretty busy. Works a lot of overtime. I'm sure we can work something out. I kissed her forehead. I'm just glad you haven't been alone. If only she knew how alone she was about to be. The next morning, I drove Tommy to school and took a detour past Mercy General Hospital. Iris worked in the neonatal unit, but Eliot, according to his Facebook profile, which wasn't nearly as private as he thought, was an orderly in the emergency department. I'd done my homework during the flight home. Eliot Hart, 35, divorced, lived alone in a studio apartment on the rough side of town. His social media was a masterclass in red flags, angry posts about his ex-wife, complaints about ungrateful people, and recently, a lot of photos featuring my family. My family. I parked across from the hospital and called my old army buddy Mike Dugan. Mike had gotten out 2 years before me and now ran private security in Boston. Sarge, heard you were still playing in the sandbox. Just got back. I need a favor, Mike. Name it. I need background on someone, full workup, and I need to know the legal way to handle a situation involving my stepdaughter. Mike's tone shifted. Someone hurt the kid? Working on confirming that. But if they did, say no more. Send me what you have. I'll make some calls. After dropping off Eliot's information, I drove to the Lantern, a dive bar near the hospital where I'd noticed several of Iris's coworkers checked in on social media, the kind of place where hospital staff went to decompress and gossip. The bartender was a guy about my age with navy tattoos and the look of someone who'd seen everything twice. His name tag said, Pete. What can I get you? Beer. Whatever's cold. I slid a 20 across the bar. You know, my wife works at Mercy General. Iris Adler, neonatal unit. Pete nodded. Yeah, she comes in sometimes. Nice lady. You're the husband, Army, right? Just got back. She's been telling me about this guy who's been helping out. Eliot something? Pete's expression changed. Eliot Hart. Yeah, I know him. He lowered his voice. Look, I don't like to gossip, but that guy gives me the creeps. Always talking about the women at work like he's doing them favors, has a real attitude about it. How so? Like they owe him something, you know? And he's got a temper. Had to cut him off last month when he started yelling about his ex-wife. Something about her not appreciating everything he did for her. I filed that information away. Appreciate the heads up. No problem. And hey, welcome home. From the Lantern, I drove to the elementary school where Tommy attended after-school care. The director, Mrs. Patterson, had known Tommy since kindergarten. Mr. Adler, we didn't expect you back so soon. Emergency leave. I wanted to check on Tommy. How's she been? Mrs. Patterson's smile faltered slightly. She's been Quieter than usual, more anxious. Last week she asked if she could call you during care time. She seemed upset about something at home. Did she say what? Not specifically, just that there was a man at your house who made her uncomfortable. I assumed it was a repairman or something, but she seemed genuinely distressed. Another piece of the puzzle. Has anyone else been picking her up? Besides Iris? A few times, yes, a man named Eliot. He's on the authorized list that Mrs. Adler provided, but Tommy never seemed happy to see him. I thanked Mrs. Patterson and sat in my truck outside the school, processing. Tommy's statement, the bruise, Mrs. Vogel's observations, the bar gossip, the school director's concerns. It was building a clear picture. But I needed more. I needed proof that would hold up in court. My phone buzzed. Mike. Got some interesting information on your boy Eliot. Want to meet? We met at a coffee shop downtown. Mike slid a folder across the table. Eliot Hart. Divorced 3 years ago. Ex-wife filed a restraining order that's still active. Reason? Harassment and stalking. Gets better. He was fired from his previous job at Boston Medical for inappropriate contact with a patient's family member. Specifically, he was accused of making unwelcome advances toward a single mother while her kid was in the ER. My hands clenched around my coffee cup. What happened with that? Nothing formal. Hospital kept it quiet, but they documented everything. I've got a contact there who pulled the file. Mike leaned forward. Noam, this guy has a pattern. He targets vulnerable women, especially single mothers or women whose husbands are away, positions himself as a helper, then escalates. And the legal angle? If he's been alone with your stepdaughter and she's got physical evidence of abuse, that's assault on a minor. You file a police report, get a restraining order, and document everything. The hospital will have to investigate, and with his history, he's done. I studied the file. Photos, court documents, employment records. Everything I needed to destroy Eliot Hart's life, obtained completely legally. Mike, I owe you. Just take care of your family, Sarge, and if you need backup, I'll call. That evening, I helped Tommy with her homework while Iris worked another double. We sat at the kitchen table, and I watched my stepdaughter, this bright, funny kid who'd been dealing with a predator while I was half a world away. Did you write down what we talked about yesterday? She nodded and handed me 3 pages of careful handwriting. Dates, times, exact quotes. The kid had been thorough. This is good work, Tommy, really good. What happens now? Now, I make sure he never bothers you again. Will Mom be mad? I looked at this 13-year-old girl who was worried about protecting the adult who should have been protecting her. Probably, but that's not your job to worry about. Your job is to be safe and happy. My job is to make sure that happens. She smiled for the first time since I'd been home. I missed you, Dad. I missed you too, kiddo, but I'm home now. And Eliot Hart was about to learn what that meant. I didn't have to wait long. Eliot showed up Thursday evening while Iris was at work, using the spare key like he owned the place. I was in the basement workshop when I heard the front door open, then his voice calling out, "Tommy, you up there?" I heard Tommy's bedroom door close, then the sound of footsteps on the stairs. My stepdaughter appeared in the basement doorway, eyes wide. "He's here," she whispered. "I know. Stay down here with me." "Tommy!" Eliot's voice carried down the stairs, irritated now. "Where are you? Your mom asked me to check on you." I walked upstairs, Tommy behind me. Eliot was standing in my kitchen, still in his hospital scrubs, holding a takeout bag from some Chinese place. "You must be Eliot." I stepped into the room, and I saw him register my size, my posture, the way I moved. Military bearing is hard to miss. "You're Noam." He recovered quickly, putting on that helpful smile I'd seen in the photos. "Iris said you were back. I brought dinner for Tommy." "That's thoughtful, but we've got dinner covered." "Oh, sure. Of course." He set the bag on the counter, but he didn't leave. "Iris asked me to make sure Tommy got her homework done." I can handle my daughter's homework. Something flickered in his eyes at the word daughter. Possession, maybe. Or annoyance. Right. Well, I've been helping out for months. Tommy and I have a routine, don't we, sweetheart? Tommy pressed closer to my side. I already did my homework. That's great, kiddo. Why don't you go upstairs and get ready for bed? She hesitated, looking between Eliot and me. Go ahead, I said gently. I'll be up in a few minutes. After Tommy left, Eliot and I stood in my kitchen, sizing each other up. He was smaller than me, softer, but there was something in his posture that suggested he thought he had an advantage here. Look, I know this might be awkward, he said, but Iris and I have gotten close while you've been away. She's been lonely, and Tommy needed a father figure. Tommy has a father figure. One who's been gone for over a year. The temperature in the room dropped about 10 degrees. And you stepped right in to fill that void. Someone had to. Iris has been struggling, and Tommy's been acting out. I've been providing stability. Stability. I let the word hang in the air. Is that what you call grabbing a 13-year-old hard enough to leave bruises? His face went pale, then flushed red. I don't know what she told you, but she told me the truth. The question is, what are you going to tell me? Tommy has behavioral issues. Sometimes she needs firm guidance. Iris knows this. Iris knows you put your hands on her daughter? I was helping discipline. You were assaulting a child in my house. Eliot straightened up, trying to look intimidating. Look, soldier boy, I don't know what kind of stories Tommy's been telling, but I've been more of a father to that girl in the past year than you've ever been, and Iris knows it. That was his mistake. The moment he tried to claim my family, I stepped closer, close enough that he had to look up to meet my eyes. When I spoke, my voice was quiet, controlled, the way it got right before we breached a compound in Kandahar. Let me explain something to you, Eliot. That girl upstairs is my daughter. This is my house. That woman you think you've been getting close to, she's my wife, and you're going to walk out that door right now and never come back. You can't just... I can. I am. And if you ever touch Tommy again, if you ever set foot on my property again, if you ever so much as look at my family again, I will destroy you. Do you understand me? He tried to hold my stare, but whatever he saw there made him look away. Iris won't stand for this. She needs me. Iris will do what's best for her daughter, and what's best is you being gone. He grabbed his jacket from the chair, hands shaking slightly. This isn't over. Yes, it is. After he left, I locked the door and went upstairs. Tommy was sitting on her bed, still fully dressed. Is he gone? He's gone. I sat on the edge of her bed. And he's not coming back. What about Mom? Let me worry about Mom. But I knew Eliot was right about one thing. Iris wasn't going to stand for this, which meant I needed to be ready for the next phase. Iris came home at midnight, and I could hear her on the phone before she even got through the door. I don't understand why he would say that to you. No, I'll talk to him. Eliot, please don't make any hasty decisions. She found me in the living room, reading. Her face was flushed with anger. What did you say to Eliot? I told him he wasn't welcome in my house. Your house? This is our house, Noam. And Eliot has been a good friend to this family while you've been playing war. Playing war. I closed my book and looked at her. Is that what you think I've been doing? You know what I mean. You've been gone for over a year, and now you come home and start making demands about who can and can't be here? I make demands about who can put their hands on my daughter. He never... She stopped, and I saw the moment she realized what she'd almost said. He never what, Iris? Never grabbed Tommy hard enough to bruise her? Because I've seen the bruise. Tommy has an active imagination. So do photographers and medical examiners. Her face went white. You took pictures? I documented evidence of child abuse. What did you think I was going to do? She's not even your real daughter. The words hung in the air like smoke from an explosion. 13 years of bedtime stories, homework help, school plays, and soccer games reduced to not even your real daughter. Get out, I said quietly. What? Get out of my sight before I say something I can't take back. She stormed upstairs, and I heard their bedroom door slam. Our bedroom door, I corrected myself, though maybe not for much longer. I slept on the couch that night, and in the morning, Iris was gone before I woke up. She'd left a note. Taking Tommy to school. We need to talk when I get home. But when she got home, she wasn't alone. Eliot was with her, and so were two of her friends from the hospital, Carla and Janet, both nurses who'd been part of her support system during the deployment. Noam, Carla said as they filed into the living room. We need to have an intervention. I looked at the four of them arrayed against me like a tribunal. Iris on the couch, Eliot standing behind her with his hand on her shoulder, the two nurses flanking them like backup. An intervention. Eliot told us what happened last night, Janet said. The threats, the intimidation. This isn't like you, Noam. What's like me? You're a good man, Carla added. But combat changes people. PTSD is real, and there's no shame in getting help. I looked at Iris. This is your play? I'm having a PTSD episode? You threatened Eliot, she said. You're being paranoid and controlling. These are symptoms, Noam. Symptoms of what? Post-traumatic stress. You've been in a war zone for over a year, and now you're seeing threats where there aren't any. Eliot squeezed Iris's shoulder. We're all here because we care about this family, about getting you the help you need. I stood up slowly, and all four of them tensed. Amazing how body language gives people away. Let me see if I understand this correctly. I come home to find that my wife's friend has been spending time alone with my 13-year-old stepdaughter. I discover that this friend has physically grabbed said stepdaughter hard enough to leave bruises. When I tell him he's not welcome in my home, I'm the one who needs help? Tommy exaggerated, Iris started. Tommy has a bruise shaped like an adult male hand on her upper arm. That's not an exaggeration. That's evidence. Evidence of what? Eliot stepped forward. I was trying to keep her from running into the street. She was upset about something and ran outside. I grabbed her to keep her safe. Funny. That's not the story Tommy told me. She's a kid. She was embarrassed about being emotional, so she made up a story to make me look bad. Carla nodded. Kids do that sometimes. They don't understand adult relationships. Adult relationships. I looked at Iris. Is that what this is? Eliot has been a good friend. Friend. I turned to Eliot. Is that how you see yourself? As Iris's friend? I care about this family, he said. I've been here when you weren't. And you think that gives you certain rights? I think it gives me a voice in what's best for Tommy. Wrong answer. Get out. Noam, Iris started. All of you, get out of my house, now. This is exactly what we're talking about, Janet said. This anger, this paranoia. I'm not paranoid, I'm protective. There's a difference. You're scaring people, Carla added. Look at how you're standing, how you're talking. This isn't normal behavior. I looked at the four of them, huddled together like I was the threat in the room, like I was the one who'd been putting hands on a child. You want to see scary behavior? Keep defending a man who bruises children. He was protecting her. Iris stood up. Something you haven't been here to do. I'm here now. For how long? Until your next deployment? Until the army sends you somewhere else and I'm alone again? That's what this is about? You being alone? It's about Tommy needing stability. It's about having someone she can count on to be here. Someone like Eliot. Yes. Eliot smiled, and I saw exactly what this was. Not an affair, not yet. Something more insidious. He'd positioned himself as the reliable alternative, the man who stayed while I left, and Iris had bought into it completely. Fine, I said. Tommy can decide. What? Tommy can decide who she wants to live with, me or her mother and her mother's friend. You can't be serious, Iris said. Absolutely serious. But first, Eliot's going to leave, because this conversation is between family. I am family, he said. That was his second mistake. I moved faster than any of them expected, crossing the room in 2 steps. I didn't touch him, but I got close enough that he could smell the coffee on my breath. Say that again. He tried to hold his ground, but his voice shook. I'm part of this family. No, you're not. You're a predator who saw an opportunity and took it. But the opportunity just closed. Noam, stop! Iris grabbed my arm. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then at her face. Choose, Iris. Him or me. But not both. She looked between Eliot and me, and I saw the moment she made her decision. I choose what's best for Tommy, and what's best is having people in her life who don't solve problems with threats and intimidation. Fine. I stepped back. Pack your things, both of you. What? This is my house, my name on the deed, my money that bought it. You want to choose him? You can do it somewhere else. The room went silent. Carla and Janet exchanged glances. Eliot's face had gone pale. You can't throw us out, Iris said. Watch me. By the time Tommy got home from school, Iris and Eliot were gone. They'd taken suitcases and promises to work this out through lawyers. But they were gone. The house felt different without them. Quieter, but also cleaner somehow. Tommy found me in the kitchen, making dinner. Where's Mom? She's staying somewhere else for a while. Because of what I said about Eliot? I turned to look at her, 13 years old, and she was blaming herself for adult failures. No, kiddo, because of what Eliot did, and because your mom chose to defend him instead of protecting you. Is she coming back? I don't know. Tommy sat at the kitchen table processing this. Are you going to get divorced? Maybe. Will I have to choose who to live with? I sat down across from her. Do you want to choose? She was quiet for a long moment. I want to live with whoever believes me. I believe you. I know. That's why I want to stay here. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Sarah Chen had been recommended by Mike Dugan, family law specialist with a reputation for protecting kids in custody battles. Mr. Adler, tell me what's going on. I laid out the whole story. The deployment, Eliot's involvement, Tommy's bruise, the confrontation, Iris's ultimatum. Do you have documentation of the abuse? Photos of the bruise, written statement from Tommy, witness testimony from the neighbor who saw the incident. Good. What about your wife's relationship with this man? Not physical as far as I know, but emotional affair, definitely. She's prioritizing his feelings over her daughter's safety. Sarah made notes. I can file for emergency custody based on the abuse allegations, but you need to understand, this is going to get ugly. Your wife will fight back, and she'll use your military service against you. How? PTSD, anger issues, the fact that you physically intimidated this man. She'll paint you as unstable and dangerous. And if she does? We counter with evidence. The abuse documentation, witness statements, and character references. But Noam, and I need you to hear this, you cannot lose your temper again. No matter what they say or do, you have to stay calm and controlled. One incident of actual violence, and you lose everything. I understood. This was a different kind of war, with different rules, but I'd fought in enough wars to know how to adapt. The custody papers were filed that afternoon. By evening, my phone was ringing. You bastard! Iris's voice was shaking with rage. How dare you file for custody? How dare I protect my daughter from someone who hurt her? She's not your daughter. Tell that to the judge. I will. I'll tell them exactly what kind of man you are. The threats, the violence, the way you terrorized Eliot. I never touched Eliot. You didn't have to. Everyone saw how you acted. Carla and Janet will testify that you were unstable, dangerous. And Tommy will testify that Eliot grabbed her hard enough to leave bruises. Guess which testimony the judge will care about more? There was a long silence. Noam, please. Don't do this. We can work it out. We could have worked it out, before you chose him over her. I didn't choose him over her. I chose stability over chaos. You chose a man who hurts children over the child's father. That's not stability, Iris. That's betrayal. She hung up. The next few days were quiet. Tommy went to school, I handled the legal paperwork, and we settled into a routine that felt more normal than anything had in months. No unexpected visitors, no tension in the air, no 13-year-old walking on eggshells. Then Mike called. Got some interesting news about your boy Eliot. Remember that ex-wife with the restraining order? Yeah. She's willing to testify. Turns out he did the same thing to her kid. Positioned himself as a helper, then got physical when the kid didn't respond the way he wanted. She's got medical records. Jesus. Gets better. I talked to my contact at Boston Medical. They're willing to provide documentation of the incident that got him fired. Seems they're tired of covering for guys like him. Mike, you're a lifesaver. Just returning the favor, Sarge. But there's something else. Eliot's been asking around about you, trying to dig up dirt from your army days. What kind of dirt? Combat incidents, disciplinary actions, anything that would make you look unstable. So far, he's coming up empty, but he's persistent. Let him dig. My record's clean. I know it is, but watch your back. Desperate people do stupid things. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You think you've won, but this isn't over. Tommy will learn what kind of man you really are. I showed the text to Sarah Chen the next morning. This is good, she said. Good? He's making threats via text message. That's evidence of harassment. Save everything he sends you. Over the next week, Eliot sent 17 more messages, each one more unhinged than the last. Threats, accusations, promises that Tommy would see the truth about me. I saved them all. The custody hearing was scheduled for the following Monday. 5 days to prepare for the fight of my life. The courthouse was packed. Iris sat with her lawyer and 2 character witnesses, Carla and Janet from the hospital. Eliot wasn't allowed in the courtroom, but I could see him pacing in the hallway through the glass doors. Judge Morrison was a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and no patience for nonsense. She'd been doing family law for 30 years, according to Sarah, and had seen every trick in the book. Mr. Adler, you're seeking emergency custody of your stepdaughter based on allegations of abuse by a third party. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. Adler, you're contesting this petition and alleging that your husband is unfit due to psychological issues related to his military service. Is that correct? Iris's lawyer, a slick guy named Patterson, stood up. That's correct, Your Honor. Mr. Adler has exhibited threatening behavior, paranoid delusions, and has made baseless accusations against Mr. Hart, who has been a positive influence in the family. I see. Let's start with the evidence. Sarah presented our case methodically. Photos of Tommy's bruise, medical examination confirming the injury, written statement from Tommy describing the incident, testimony from Mrs. Vogel, who witnessed Eliot grabbing Tommy in the driveway. Then came the background evidence. Eliot's restraining order from his ex-wife, the incident report from Boston Medical, testimony from his ex-wife about similar behavior with her child. Finally, the text messages, all 17 of them, printed out and entered into evidence. Judge Morrison read through them, her expression growing darker with each page. Mr. Patterson, your client alleges that Mr. Adler is unstable and paranoid, yet the evidence shows a clear pattern of concerning behavior by Mr. Hart, including documented abuse of other children and threatening messages sent to Mr. Adler. How do you respond? Patterson stood up, looking less confident than he had an hour ago. Your Honor, Mr. Hart's past is not relevant to this case. What's relevant is Mr. Adler's threatening behavior and his wife's concerns about his mental state. I see. Mrs. Adler, please take the stand. Iris looked nervous as she was sworn in. Her testimony started strong. She talked about my deployment, the stress on the family, her gratitude for Eliot's help. "Mrs. Adler," Patterson said, "can you describe your husband's behavior when he returned from deployment?" "He was different, angry, suspicious. He immediately saw Eliot as a threat, even though Eliot had been nothing but helpful." "Did he make threats?" "Yes. He told Eliot never to come back, and he was very intimidating about it. Physical intimidation." "And how did this make you feel?" "Scared. I'd never seen him like that before." Sarah stood up for cross-examination. "Mrs. Adler, when did you first learn that Mr. Hart had grabbed your daughter hard enough to leave a bruise?" Iris hesitated. "Tommy mentioned something, but when specifically?" "About a week before Noam came home." "And what did you do with that information?" I talked to Eliot about it. He explained that Tommy had run toward the street and he was protecting her." "Did you take your daughter to a doctor to have the injury examined?" "No." "Did you document the injury in any way?" "No." "Did you report the incident to Child Protective Services?" "No." "Did you tell Mr. Hart that he was no longer allowed to be alone with your daughter?" Iris looked at her lawyer, then back at Sarah. "No." "So, when you learned that a man had grabbed your 13-year-old daughter hard enough to leave a bruise, you took no protective action whatsoever. Is that correct?" I believed his explanation. "Even though your daughter told you she was hurt and scared?" Tommy can be dramatic. "Mrs. Adler, are you aware that Mr. Hart has a restraining order filed against him by his ex-wife for similar behavior toward her child?" Patterson objected, but Judge Morrison overruled him. "No," Iris whispered. "Are you aware that he was fired from his previous job for inappropriate contact with a patient's family member?" "No." "Are you aware that he has sent 17 threatening text messages to your husband over the past 2 weeks?" "No." Sarah returned to her table. "No further questions, Your Honor." The final witness was Tommy. She was nervous but clear, describing exactly what had happened with Eliot, how it made her feel, and why she wanted to live with me. "He scared me," she told the judge, "and when I told Mom, she didn't believe me. But Dad believed me right away." Judge Morrison called a recess to review the evidence. When she returned, her decision was swift and decisive. "I find that Mr. Hart represents a clear danger to the minor child, and that Mrs. Adler's failure to protect her daughter from documented abuse constitutes neglect. Emergency custody is granted to Mr. Adler, with supervised visitation for Mrs. Adler pending a full custody evaluation." Iris broke down, crying. Her lawyer patted her shoulder and whispered about appeals. But I was watching Eliot through the glass doors. He'd heard the decision, and his face was twisted with rage. As we left the courthouse, he was waiting by my truck. "This isn't over," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "That kid will learn what kind of monster you really are." "Mr. Hart?" Judge Morrison's voice cut through the parking lot. She'd followed us outside. "I suggest you leave these people alone. Any further contact will result in contempt charges." Eliot looked around, realizing that half the courthouse was watching him, then slunk away to his broken-down Honda. Tommy climbed into my truck. "Is it really over?" "Yeah, kiddo, it's really over." But as we drove home, I saw Eliot following us in his rearview mirror. Some people just don't know when they've lost. 3 days after the custody hearing, Eliot made his last mistake. He showed up at Tommy's school. Mrs. Patterson called me immediately. "Mr. Adler, there's a man here claiming to be Tommy's stepfather. He's demanding to see her and he's getting agitated. Keep Tommy in the office. I'm on my way." I called the police from my truck, then called Mike Dugan. By the time I got to the school, there were 2 patrol cars in the parking lot and Eliot was in handcuffs. "He violated the restraining order," Officer Martinez explained. "Trespassing on school property, attempting to contact the minor child. He'll be held overnight. maybe longer. What about his job? Hospital security already called it in. He's been terminated. I found Tommy in the principal's office, shaken, but safe. He said he just wanted to talk to me, she told me, but he looked really angry. You did the right thing by staying with Mrs. Patterson. Is he going to keep trying to come back? No, kiddo. He's done. And he was. Eliot Hart spent 3 days in jail for violating the restraining order. When he got out, he found that his apartment lease had been terminated for non-payment. Funny how losing your job affects your finances. His car had been repossessed, and his ex-wife had filed additional charges based on the evidence that came out in our custody hearing. Mike Dugan called me with updates. He's leaving town, heading south, maybe Florida. Apparently, his sister down there said she'd help him get back on his feet. Good riddance. There's more. Mercy General is conducting a full investigation into his conduct. Turns out Tommy wasn't the only kid he'd been inappropriate with. 3 other families have come forward. I felt sick thinking about it, but also relieved that those families would get justice too. As for Iris, she moved in with Carla temporarily while she figured out her next steps. The supervised visitation was awkward at first, but gradually she began to understand what had really happened. The full custody evaluation took 6 months, and in the end, the judge awarded me primary custody with regular unsupervised visits for Iris. She never apologized directly, but one day she brought Tommy a card that said, "I'm sorry I didn't listen. I should have believed you." It wasn't much, but it was a start. Tommy thrived. Her grades improved. She joined the soccer team, and she started smiling again. Really smiling, not the careful, guarded expressions she'd worn when Eliot was around. 6 months after the custody hearing, we were having dinner when she brought up something that had been bothering her. "Dad, why didn't you just beat up Eliot? You could have." I thought about how to answer that. Because beating him up would have made me the bad guy, and it wouldn't have solved the real problem. What was the real problem? The real problem was that he thought he could hurt you and get away with it. Fighting him wouldn't have changed that. But destroying his life? Making sure everyone knew what he really was? That solved the problem permanently. She considered this. So you won by being smarter, not stronger. Exactly. Good, she said. I like that better. A year later, I got a call from Mike Dugan. Remember your buddy Eliot? What about him? He got arrested in Tampa. Same pattern, befriended a single mother, got inappropriate with her kid. But this time, the kid's father was a Marine, and he wasn't as patient as you were. Is Eliot okay? He'll live, but he's looking at serious jail time. Turns out Florida doesn't mess around with child predators. I hung up and looked out the window at Tommy playing in the backyard with her friends. She was 14 now, confident and happy. Safe. Sometimes the best revenge isn't what you do to your enemies. Sometimes it's simply making sure they can never hurt anyone again. Eliot Hart learned that lesson the hard way, and every other predator who heard his story learned it too. The house felt like home again. Tommy was safe. Iris and I had found a way to co-parent that worked for everyone. And somewhere in a Florida jail cell, Eliot Hart was finally facing the consequences of his choices. Justice served cold, just the way I liked it.